Hello and welcome to part 2 of setting up an APA paper. So if you watched the last video, then you've already done this page. If you have not and you want to go back and look to see how to do the cover page of your APA paper, please see the link provided below the video so that you can go back to that page. And don't forget to subscribe so that you can get other great videos to help you in your writing pursuits. So we're going to start where we were last time. And in order to go on to the next page, there's something that we need to do. So if your cursor is, go ahead and put your cursor at the end of your paper and hit enter once. So now you're down on the line below that. We are going to insert a page break. And the way to do that is to go to insert, and you're going to go down to page break, and it's going to send you to page 2 automatically. So this is used to tell Word that, hey, we're not going to write anything else on that paper, and if we do, we still want the next page to start on this line where you see the cursor. So there's one thing that you'll note if you watch the last video. One of the things that we did is we chose different first page. So now that we're doing the second page, go ahead and double click with your left mouse in the header, and this is what you'll see when you do that. You're going to still see the different first page. And so now you can see why we did this. That is so that we can form this actual header the way that we need to. So the first thing that we're going to do here is do something that we did in the last video, and that is to insert your page number. Go over to page number after you click the insert tab and go down to top of page. It's always plain number 3, and you're going to see that this starts at number 2. So the next thing that we're going to do is go ahead and do that title that we did in the first header. So while this title has to match the first line of your next page, which I'll show you in a minute, the titles in your headers, including this, the APA paper exercise, have to be identical. Now, something you'll note on this page is that we are not going to write running head. It is no longer on any other page except for where you see it on the first one. So you've got APA paper exercise. So hit your caps button on your lower left of your keyboard, APA paper exercise, and hit tab. Now you have it in the right location, but if you notice, the font looks slightly different than the one on this page. And that's because, like we talked about in the last video, if you go back to your home tab, you're going to see that it has defaulted again to Calibri Body and 11. So when we told it we were going to do the headers different, it did not register that these need to be Times New Roman 12 font. So let's go ahead and take your left mouse key and hold it down and select, run across all of your text so that you can select that. Go up to where you see the Calibri and pull down. Now, because I've recently used fonts, I'm going to click that, but you also could have typed this in. So you could put times, and you see it pop up, and you can hit enter at that point, and then you're going to pull this down to 12. So now you have the perfect header on the second page. And this is where your essay begins. If you don't have an abstract or an author's note, those will be in the advanced videos because typically they're not required in like first level writers. So whether it's freshmen in college or perhaps high school, if you're watching this video, typically they're not required. But in the third video, I'm going to provide you some resources to help you with that if you do need to. So make sure that you go on to watch that. If you'll notice, your cursor is currently in the center of your paper, and that's where we want to keep it because this is where your title is going to be. Now, whereas in the first video I talked about your header titles need to match. So up above on page 1 it says running head and then APA paper exercise, and on this one it says APA paper exercise. So if we go up, what we're going to do is we're going to copy the APA paper exercise learning to create the title page, because this entire title is required for to be on the first line of your second page. So if you right click your mouse, you're going to see the copy button, or you could have gone up here and hit copy, then go down to page 2 back where your cursor was, and you can right click and if it says edit header, just move it down a little bit further, and then right click and hit paste. So you could have also hit paste up here in your left corner. So if you look at this, it's still centered. We want to be on the left margin when we start papers because that's the way that it's done in APA. And while we're on this page, I also want to show you something else that APA does Word does automatically for you, but it is worth checking. We're going to check the margins because this paper needs to be 1-inch margins on all sides, which is about right here where you see the circle moving. So let's go up here to page layout. It's one of your tabs at the top of your paper, and we're going to do the pull down box margins. And if you look, this has the blue highlighting on it. It says 1111. That is correct. So had it not been correct, you may have noticed that your cursor was over here somewhere, and that's when you would want to go check it, or check it just to make sure. Some instructors may be extremely picky about that. So the great thing about this is that when we chose double spacing on the first page, it translated to this page. But just in case you're only watching this video, I want to make sure you know how to do that. So when you're on the Home tab above, you're going to do the up and down arrow. That is actually the one for line spacing. And when you first start this, it defaults to something different. You want to click 2.0. In the first video, if you noticed, if any of these say remove space, you need to click it so that all of these say add space. That takes out any additional spaces to make sure your spacing's correct. So let's get back down here to the APA paper exercise. The way to start your paper is on the left margin. You'll hit tab. All paragraphs are indented, and you'll go ahead and start typing your introduction. If you happen to use headings, which is not in this video, it will be in a different video later on, you will want to make sure that you don't use that for the introduction, because that is assumed that that information is an introduction. So here we would type, in this exercise, I am learning to format properly. Let's see, how about this research paper will be much easier once I have mastered formatting. So obviously, especially in research, you won't use first person. This is just for the purpose of demonstration. You will typically use third person. So you can see where this paragraph starts, and most paragraphs, they will tell you 3 to 5 sentences. I typically require 5 at least to develop that paragraph fully. So keep that in mind, that 3 sentences rarely is sufficient to develop a full paragraph. But for the purposes of this tutorial, I'm not going to write entire paragraphs. I just want to show you how to go to the next paragraph and have it formatted correctly. So sometimes, depending on which computer type you have, which word you have to either indent and tab over, or it will do it automatically. In this case, this will automatically go to the left margin. So, but some of the versions of Word, it'll automatically go to your tab space where you need to be. So if it does go to your left margin, just go ahead and hit tab. If you already see it where you see it here, where it's in line with your first tab, you won't do anything because they all need to be even as you go down through here. So in this paragraph, okay, so if you were typing there, so you see the spacing. A frequent mistake that I see is that people want to enter 2 times between paragraphs, and that is incorrect formatting in APA. All of the spaces between the title, between the paragraphs, should be perfectly 2.0 so that it looks very uniform. So in the next video, I'm going to go over how to set up your references page, which will be on the first line of the page following any text. So if you pretended for a second that this was the only page you had, or this was the last page you had, which your title will only go on your cover page and page 2 for the sake of not confusing you here. So you won't put this title on page 3 or 4 or 5. You'll just start this text on the top line. So with that said, though, the references page is on a completely separate page by itself, and that's going to be in the next video. And I'm going to leave this text in here for that video so you know where you're at as far as the video is concerned, so that you understand how we're going to do this. So I hope that you've enjoyed this video. I hope you'll subscribe for other helpful videos later on. And check the links below, because I have the other sections of this tutorial linked together for you so that you can do all 3 parts. Thank you so much for listening.